Morning, everybody. How you all doing? Sorry for being a little late. In Florida, it is not warm as it should be. It is actually cold, and the room is a mess. So I had to use the background versus the blur, like I normally do when I'm stable. Anyhow, how do I want to start this week? Let's say the important part out loud, which is Florida water sucks. Like it reminds me of being in Queenstown. That is not a good thing. So I understand there's a lot of sulfur in the water down here, and it has a smell to it. That's not cool when you're drinking, and it leaves an aftertaste as well. But when you're used to it, I guess you're used to it. I'll never get used to that. It definitely sticks out. I grabbed something to eat last night, and as I'm trying to consume the Arnold Palmer that I had, I was like, yeah, this ain't it. This ain't it at all. Um, Started off this weekend in South Georgia. I was actually in Valdosta, Georgia. Had to come back to Atlanta, hop on the bird, get here, doing the recon for. I got something going on pretty soon. Well, almost talk too daggone much, but I need to come down here and scope out a couple of things in order to get that up and running and doing what it needs to do. So there that is, and there that was. I'm looking forward to reuniting with some friends. I have a good friend of mine. I have not seen him in years. It has been way too long, to be honest with you. And I'm going to make a point of stopping in to see him today because, again, it really is overdue. And that's normally not me. But when I come down here, I'm usually in and out. I'm usually not down here just to chill, if you will. This time around, I made a point of reserving some time to get up with my man. We've been friends for shit 20 years. Hell, longer than that. So it's important for me to spend some time with my man, and we go on from there. But not to bore you all with that, there's a lot going on this week. Thomas Berry was on the front lines of a number of things going down. So he will be able to speak to what's going on in the Twin Cities from a totally different angle this week. It's not just from, I guess, the observer level. This is from actually being in the middle of things. And he'll tell that story a hell of a lot better than I. So I'll give him space to do that. Oh my goodness, I got to turn my damn phone down. And we also wanted to talk about the Don Lemon arrest. I got a phone call yesterday, and the person was like, "Yo, this has brought to light a huge concern for me." And all, what's up? It's like, I'm concerned for you all and what you do every week. You are independent journalists. You don't have the cover of a major network. What happens if someone chooses to come after you? And Rodney has talked about this for a while. Rodney says that he's doing all he's doing now, jokingly, but he's very serious about this, just in case they come snatch him up and throw him in a detention center or something like that. And that that's real. That's really, really, really real. And I don't know what we can do about that. I have no idea what we can do about that. But what we ain't gonna do is run and hide. I thought I turned this damn thing down. What we ain't gonna do is run and hide. We have a job to do. We have our mission, and our mission is to bring the news to the people in a manner in which they can relate, in a manner in which they can see themselves in others that are going through this. That is our job. That is our task, and we're going to do our task until we can no longer do our task in the same way. Because I don't think the fight will ever stop. We may just have to switch it up a little bit in order to get the word through. But we ain't stopping. I ain't stopping. You know, there's too much good going on out here, and we can't always talk about the bad. Sometimes we got to talk about the good. That's not true. More often, we need to talk about the good. More often, we need to highlight people everyday people whom are putting in the work to make this world better, be it better 10 years from now, 15 years from now, or 10 minutes from now. There are so many great people out here putting in the work every day that don't get their props. And we are here to give them their props. We are here to tell their stories. We are here so you know about these people and they know that someone cares about them and their story. You know, um, that's very important. It's very important. You, we all know about Walmart. It's every city. If not in your city, it's in the next city over, sitting on a damn line. But Mrs. Jones's is just as important. Mr. Williams is just as important. When you look at folks who have stood fast in communities for 30, 40, 50 years, who provided goods but a service. These folks have provided a service. They've given folks jobs, they've inspired people around them. They need to be recognized. They deserve to have their stories told and heard. And that's why we're here. We're going to give them that opportunity to do that. We're going to get out, find them. Um, okay. We're going to get out, find them, and we're going to bring them to you. We're going to hopefully inspire you, hopefully plant a seed in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit. Maybe you can't open up a store. Maybe you can't open up a business, but you can support it. Maybe not with your dollars every day, every week. Word of mouth. Inspire somebody else to do the same. Keep that hope alive. There are a lot of opportunities out here. There are plenty of avenues out here. We're all not going to travel the same one, and that's okay. The final destination for everybody living is the same one. We're all going to perish one day. Hopefully, along the way, we leave a great memorial of ourselves, not a monument per se, but a legacy that leads other people to be more of themselves, show more of themselves, and hopefully help others understand that they are more than what they may see themselves at in this moment. You know, yeah, I'm getting philosophical. I'm getting old, man. This thing for me, it's the thing that's happening as I'm getting older, without a doubt. My youngest turned 30 on Thursday. So now I have all three kids that are 30 and over. I don't know how the hell that happened, but it's happened. And looking at them, remembering them as babies, as toddlers, then little people, and then not so little people, and teenagers, the wonder years for real. And now as adults, full fledged adults, it's mind blowing. It is absolutely mind blowing, but it's a blessing. It's one of those things that I truly never understood that I needed, but I'm so glad that I got it. Truly glad that I got it. Truly appreciative of all 30 plus years of fatherhood that I've had, of dadhood that I've had, of the good and the bad. We sit around and we chop it up now about, man, remember I did this pop? Like, yeah, I remember. um, Pop, remember you said that? Yeah, because normally I'm pretty much still saying the same damn thing, you know, and just to see them navigate life, it's cool, man. It's massively cool, it's like I said, it's a true blessing, and it's just one of those things. What's going on, brother Barry? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. I had to reset my. As soon as I was ready to get on deck, it said your mic is not working, and you need to reset your computer. And I'm like, okay.
Hey, look, I understand. I had some troubles this morning too. I was running a little bit behind. Plus, I didn't bring my normal laptop, so I think there's a little lag. Maybe I'm not sure, but I'm loving it. We're here. We're doing our thing. Just talking about some of the things that I've experienced this week. Then told the folks that you were going to come on and talk about the things that you went through this week. Let's do one more thing before we really get into the meat and potatoes. There's a snowstorm headed to the southeast. Now, I do that in air quotes because Thomas, myself, Rodney, we, Rashi, we've lived through snowstorms, right? Now, what's going on in the southeast is snow. I had to get myself together to actually say that word. And I understand that everything is relative. I get it wholeheartedly. I respect it. But when the news reporter was standing out and she took the camera and pointed it to her feet, and she was like, "You see how the snow was stacking up?" I'm looking. I'm like, "What the hell snow you talking about? That look like the salt on the ground. Like, what are you talking about? It's getting slippery. It's getting slippery, and it's really starting to accumulate." Okay, if that's accumulation of you, then I get it. But I'm talking to my folks back up top, and they like, "Yeah, yo, we had like 14 inches of snow." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's what's up." That's about regular. That's about regular. We had 18 inches of snow. Yeah, that's about regular.
Yeah.
You talking a quarter inch in the whole damn city shutting down. A quarter of an inch in the whole damn city shutting down. They talking about closing the state for a month over a quarter inch of damn snow. Like, okay, dog. And people always kick back. Well, you used to it. You used to. Let me tell you something, dog. You never get used to snow. You never get used to ice. It is an inconvenience no matter where you live, no matter if that's something that you're accustomed to because of your location and it's the winter time. No one gets used to that. You just accept it and you move the hell on. That's it. And I'm it far be it from me to understand how folks have not peeped these weather patterns over the past 10, 20 years and not started to address them with more equipment, more facilities. Because let me give y'all just a smidge of a hint. This shit ain't changing. It's going to get worse. These things are going to happen more often. So for you mofos out here with these budgets and y'all talking about giving people a tax break or a tax cut or a kickback or some shit like that, y'all better save that damn money and buy some equipment because this is going to happen more often. We are not going back to where it was sunny, shiny almost all year long in the South, and maybe you get some rain. And there's a snowstorm once every 20 years. Dog, it ain't once every 20 years now. Have y'all not paid attention? It's once every 3, once every 5. That's not 20. That's coming more often. Address it, pivot, get on point because you ain't. And that is putting your people at risk. And that, my friends, is reckless behavior. Real talk, that's reckless behavior. When you have control over the purse and you can make different decisions, that just ain't cool to me. I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. Bro, what's the temperature up there today?
Well, I woke up to -1.
Okay.
But right now it's 5. It's 5 degrees today.
Strong 5. Strong 5.
A strong 5.
That's a heat wave.
We might get up. They say we're gonna get up to 19 by 3.
Oh shit! By 3. That's a real heat wave.
Well, I'm just gonna shout out February because February warming up. I think it's the launch of the app tomorrow. I think the launch of the app tomorrow is what's throwing things out.
It's giving that fuel. Giving that fuel.
It's just really breaking things up. But man, it's colder than a sun bitch up here. And, and that's just the realest thing I can tell you. Bless the hearts of the white folks out there protesting. They want to know why black people ain't out there. We are not built for the snow. at all. The snow,
They out there again today?
bro. They was out there yesterday, and man, I came out the court house. Well, actually, I got forced out thanks to ice. But that's another story.
Hold on. Let's transition this properly. So let's talk about the events that you went through yesterday. What
Well,
had happened was.
So what happened was I got a call yesterday from the president of the Minneapolis NAACP, Cynthia Wilson. Shout out to her. She was telling us, what happened with Sister Georgia Ford, who was arrested with Don Lemon, as well as Brother Jamil Lundy, Trahern Cruz, and another individual. I'm missing the name, but
okay,
forgive me. And we had to go down there. We're having a press conference at City Hall. So we go down to City Hall, myself, the president of the NAACP, as well as our communication chair, and we all go down, and we're just down there at the rotunda. So, we're finding out what's going on with Sister Georgia Ford, and we were down there at 11. Then we transitioned at like 1:30 over to the courthouse where they were arraigning them, and so it was a packed courthouse. What I want people to understand what's going on is they cannot find people to really bring charges against them. They had to fly in a prosecutor from California to prosecute Sister Ford and the brothers. And then they say in California, the locals there don't want to bring charges against Don Lemon. And so they're flying prosecutors cross country because they can't find people that'll really stand by these cases. And I think that's important for people to know. With that being said, we get done. It's a wait because the judge, the judge was forthright judge. She said, hey, there is no reason to believe that these people are dangerous. There is no reason for us to believe that these people are going to go and cause harm to anyone. It was nothing violent that took place. Hey, we're gonna kick them free. Well, 30 minutes later, everybody's released. We're in the lobby. Folks are hugging and rejoining their families. And out of nowhere, on both sides, flanking the people in the middle on both sides, you get ICE agents who come from nowhere. Now, there's security that's in the lobby the entire time we're in the courthouse. No one is saying, hey, you guys need to go. Hey, you guys need to move. You know how they typically do if they want you out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We didn't get that. What we got was ICE agents on both sides. And so, it's always, huh?
What does ICE have to do with proceedings in a courthouse? That's immigration? And the end of what ICE is about? What do they have to do with proceedings in the courthouse?
So what I want people to know out there, and this is the same thing we're doing with the Watch app, and I just, once again, technology is real in this battle. And I think once we get past the egomaniacs that want to be at the forefront of this, they'll understand the technology is at the forefront. ICE is showing up because they are recording the faces of everybody who shows up to these events. They are storing documentation and they want to know who's there. So they got their own facial and voice recognition software on their body cams.
They finally were wearing body cams now?
I don't think it's not the typical body cam.
Okay.
It's not the body cam that you think the police have. This is simply for storing and figuring out ways to track you, thanks to, Plantier. When our local government came to us and was talking about these cameras that they were putting on the stoplights, and they would say, oh, it's not to give tickets. No, it's not to give tickets. It's to track the whereabouts of everyone. And I don't care whether it is whether it's the Democratic elected officials or the Republicans, everybody kind of ran into this Plantier piece, and then ICE has that technology. So they come out, man, out of nowhere, and they push everybody outside. And I mean, when we get outside, brother, that hawk hits you in your face. Like, God damn, let's go. But that's what took place. Now, I was unaware that there was going to be a protest downtown. And so they did a part 2 of the protest that took place last week. They were protesting. It was deep in protest. But I'm gonna say this again for the people who just joined. When you run into ICE, ICE is recording you because they have facial recognition software that can track your whereabouts along with what you see when you go to the stoplight. Those cameras, they can match you up and they can find out who you are, where you are at all times. So when they do have encounters with you, they'll know from previous encounters or whatever the case may be. And I think it's good for Americans to understand the technology that they're dealing with and not only just accept that that technology is there, but also get down with other things that are creating similar technologies. That's what we have with the Watch app. That's what we're assisting the citizens with. And we'll continue to upgrade that so we can make sure at some point that the citizens will have another piece that'll go along with that they can wear on their bodies to record. Now, I see a lot of other people talking about other technology pieces or whatever, but look, this is what it is. It's a tech war, and either you got it or you don't. It's almost essential as having a weapon, but you better have some technology on your side. And at the same time, you better learn how to communicate without some of the technology. What do I mean by that? Tom Holman said in his press conference yesterday that they are.
Hold on. Who's Tom Holman? Slow down a little bit. So I was going to get to that, but you jumped ahead. So let's go ahead. Talk about Tom Holman.
So Tom Holman is the border czar for
Mr. Bribe in the brown bag.
Yep. That's exactly who he is. But what he stated that I thought out of everything was that he's listening and they're monitoring signal. And I was trying to say this to somebody who was saying, when they be like, what's going on out here? And let me say this. I just want to state this. This is not the time to play kabuki theater. Like, you got to know people who really understand what's going on and people who don't understand what's going on. And playing in this moment may get you in jail or may get you killed. And when they're telling you that they're monitoring Signal, and many of you are bragging online about hopping in these groups on Signal, yes, they're on Signal too. and when you're on Facebook and you're talking in your chats, guess what? Zuckerberg is down with them too. Oh, you going to X? Elon's down with them too. And they bought TikTok. How about that? Oh, what you gonna do? Instagram? Oh, Zuckerberg owns that too. So this is really a technology fight, Brother Lee. And what I've seen, even with the arrest of Ms. Ford, Jamil, and all of those guys, is that they don't mind violating rights. Georgia Ford is a part of the press. As a part of the press, she has a right to cover anything, whether it's a protest, what have you. She didn't violate no rights. She didn't break no laws. She did everything she was supposed to do as a journalist. And to arrest her, that was a way to intimidate the press. Because if she's there, then they can't falsify the story. And locally, she's been delivering some of the best press of what's been happening here in the Twin Cities, period. Bar none, Georgia Ford and her team has been on the ground doing that. And by the way, she's just a good person. Like, I've had conversations with her. She's really a good person. Like, she really cares about people. She's a humble soul, man. Just, you don't find beautiful people like that, man. Inside out, just a beautiful person. Shout out to my brother Demetrius too. Demetrius is doing this thing too with his media company. He got shot in the foot by ICE with a rubber bullet, and he's in a boot right now.
Oh wow!
So a lot of things are happening.
Brother recovers quickly.
Yeah, a lot of things are happening on the ground. So I just want people to understand, like, this is what we're dealing with here locally, and it's going to continue. I think people think Tom Holman is saying it's going to dwindle down, as Lee called him, Mr. 50,000 in the bag.
Mr. Bob in the brown paper bag. FBI informant. You know what I'm saying?
So what happened to old boy who tried to attack Ilhar Omar? He was arraigned yesterday too. And I think he was arraigned maybe a little bit earlier than where everybody else, because it's the same courthouse. He was just on the lower floor. And so people weren't on that floor. They were more so concerned about what happened in the other instance with what happened with these reporters. So we got a lot going on here, y'all, and it's not gonna tamper down no time soon.
Let me get in for a half a second.
Yes, sir.
I'm not the smartest person in the world. People try to tell me I'm a little smart, but I don't agree. I'm thinking about things this morning. I'm thinking about how on television you have blasted the murder of a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
You have blasted the murder of a white man.
Mm-hmm.
Is this not a desensitizing campaign put on by this regime to get folks used to the far reaching nature of these federal agents
Mm-hmm.
that they want to dispatch? Is this not an instance where they are priming us for the mass murder, the mass killing of the others, whomever the others are? I still say the next prone in this fight are going to be the LGBTQ plus community and interracial couples,
Mm.
because according to their mandate, not mine, according to their mandate, not mine. I'm going to say that one more time. According to their mandate, not mine. Those folks are anti what they are trying to do and what they want.
Mm.
They want plenty of white babies that are white. Their concern is their numbers are dwindling and they are going to fade into the background.
Mm.
You don't make babies if you are in a same sex relationship. Let's
Mm.
be clear about that. You don't make babies if I'm sorry, you do not make white babies if you are in an interracial marriage or interracial relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I say their doctrine says that these things must stop. So I think they're going to go after them before they go after black folks, to be honest.
Well, I'll say this much: I often wondered with the situation with Renee Good because she, was gay. And I shout out to my people, Joe Brown. He said that desensitized the point. It's a clear draw the line in the sand that those who want to kill black bodies and those who want to defend them. And I would say to y'all right now, it hasn't gotten to us yet. Not as far as what we can see it.
Correct.
Because I believe that there was things that already happened that were happening behind the scenes that are still happening behind the scenes with all of these missing black bodies around the country, that I don't think these bodies were just going missing. I think that these bodies were being snatched up, and I think that they were being snatched up in a way where it was organized, and some parts of law enforcement was a part of it. That's just my 2 cents. I think what happened in Minnesota here, and let's take it back to this summer when Melissa Hortman was murdered. I think that the idea that most Minnesotans think that that was a lone wolf, I think that we are mistaken. I look at Lee when they were talking about the irregularities in the Minnesota voting election, and I'm thinking about that list of Minnesota Democratic elected officials who were state officials who were on that hit list if he would have been successful.
Mm-hmm.
If you chip those people off, you got to remember the Minnesota House is pretty much a gridlock at this point. Like it's like 50-50, bro. I mean, that's how close it is. And if you switch Minnesota and you switch Pennsylvania and Ohio, because people forget Ohio at one point was a blue state.
Yes.
When you flip these states, it's hard to flip them back. And if they get the strong arm of it, they can sit in power. I think that this is all about the elections. I also hear what you're saying as far as, going back to Miss Good. I was like wondering, like, hey, did they know she was lesbian? Like, did they not see her as one of them? Did she have a rainbow stick or anything, any type of, paraphernalia that would show that she was gay or whatever the case may be?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Make them look at her as other, right? Like it's an othering of people that's taking place.
Mm-hmm.
So I do agree with this white replacement theory. And I will tell you, this ain't nothing new. In 2020, Phil Donahue, and you cannot find these videos. They have taken all of these videos offline. But Phil Donahue used to have the #1 rated show on cable news, and his segments was always about the angry white man. And this replacement theory was talked about in 2020 on a consistent basis on Phil Donahue's show. And it was about birth rates, it was about LGBTQ plus, and believe it or not, they didn't necessarily care too much about us because they felt like our birth rates have kind of been in check. We haven't had our birth rates have declined. We've been stuck at 24 million African Americans for the last 4 decades. Our numbers have not increased whatsoever, thanks to Planned Parenthood and also the propaganda. So our birth rates aren't going up. They already know through Facebook and some of the other social media devices that Black youth are no longer are at the lowest point of sexual interaction than ever before. They are not fucking on college campuses, y'all. They're not. That's not happening. Elise said, I called this a while ago. Laws banning abortion was never about preserving fetuses. It was just another step in population control by way of controlling women's bodies. Very true. Very true. He said, I believe one of the videos was here. What was her wife? Yeah. Yep. It was was her wife. Yep. And so I'm just saying, Lee, I agree with you. I think that's part of it. The other side of it is, though, when you know that they got a plan,
we got to have one too. What's our plan?
Because the plan can't be just to react to what they're doing, and the plan can't be every time we meet. We got this bad locally. Anytime there's a meeting privately, people go straight to Facebook Live.
Everybody talking about how you supposed to have a private meeting. Hey, remember that from CB4? I said it's supposed to be a meeting of the group, but everybody in the restaurant to eat. That was funny, but you're right, and I don't know if it's because we are so disconnected that folks are always searching for some type of connection through clicks or likes or
people
heart emojis or whatever.
People lonely. Yes. Let's be real. People are lonely. It is forcing. I've seen online this week a few people I know, mostly women, having mental crisis online, and I'm watching the breakdown, and typically it goes with the embarrassing of whoever the current, past, or present lover was, right? And then you see, I need some help. Somebody coming, and it's because people are really lonely, and these platforms have made people even more lonelier. And when you start having what you have in the Twin Cities, this is the essential aspect of taking a female slave, hanging her upside down, slicing her belly open, and stumping the fetus in front of everybody. That is what the federal government is doing to the citizens of Minnesota. It is a collective traumatizing that they're doing. You don't have to be there to feel that trauma. You just have to see it. You just have to know that you have the possibility of bumping into one of these ICE agents at that particular time. So that is going to traumatize you collectively across the board. And I don't think that that's being addressed. And I guess I'm like, yo, during George Floyd, we heard that word trauma a lot. We're not hearing that anymore. But this is a traumatizing piece, because think about it. If it's the local police, you always knew you had the federal government as a backdrop.
Correct.
When it's the federal government, who do you got? God?
Is that one of the issues too, though, that is stifling the local authorities, that they don't feel that they have any I guess protection or authority over these federal authorities? That's why they're constantly just playing the bat and standing by, letting folks literally break the law, because you should not be macing, pepper spraying, flashbanging peaceful protesters. What are you doing but protesting? That does not deserve a reaction of pepper spray, macing, same, or flashbang grenades. That is totally over the damn top. It should not be accepted. It's not acceptable. We are literally seeing America turn into a police state. Literally. This is not a figurative act at this point, folks. We have evidence on the news nearly every damn day where the American public is being pushed, bullied by federalized folk
Mm-hmm.
in local American cities
Mm-hmm.
over something that they should have no authority over.
Well, brother, I will say this much. I do think that the police state is real, but I do think that local governments can find ways to push back. And I was talking to an elected official yesterday, and I won't say his name just because he's running for office, and I don't want that to be used against him. What he said to me.
Because you know they tracking your ass.
All right, they can do it. they can do it, man.
You know they tracking your ass.
Hey, brother, I don't care. Listen, I was saying this to somebody yesterday. Like, when you've been through this as a teen, having to deal with the gang task force having you in the book, yes. When you, as a black man in this country, understand that you have to have ID on you, or that's a PC hold for 36 hours, and if they catch you on Friday, you don't get out till Monday
morning.
We black men in this, like, all of this and stuff like that. I've been through this since I was 18 years old. There's nothing that they're doing now that they have not done to us as black men. And that's why when people get upset when I separate, I say, listen, we've been public enemy number one. Y'all all are just welcome to what we've been going through. You may have had to nurse our wounds, you may have to console our tears, but you have never been through it how we've been through it.
But they didn't believe it. Oh no! Remember, Eazy-E said this in one of those people, they were just resisting arrest. No, they were not just resisting arrest. This is what happens when you put authority in the hands, perceived authority in the hands of folks whom have had issues their entire life. They've been bullied their entire life. They were told they were less than their entire life. They are straight up racist. They are straight up sexist. They are whatever. When you give them perceived authority, a badge and a gun, they are going to go out and become bad actors. And they will be much worse bad actors than the folk on the street who have at least some grain of respect for either the elderly, children, or the hood.
That's 100% real. And I think what we have to come to, because you asked about the local officials, I think like local police, they're looking at some of their colleagues quitting to go join ICE. And you got to think about the aspect of your colleagues quitting to go join ICE, and then knowing some of your tactics, knowing some of your comms or whatever the case. That's fearful. The other aspect, going back to the elected official, because I'm like, Governor Walz needs to put a moratorium in the state of Minnesota on mortgage payments, on rent, utility payments, etc., while ICE is doing his occupation. And the reason why is give Minnesotans the grace to go back to working at home versus being inside of the office, and keep the streets clean so that the people can see clearly, like, no, these people are just violating American rights. Because it clears the streets. Once you clear the streets, and then everybody can see clearly what they're doing, and then that allows the police to then be able to operate and move around freely too, because they're not having to be everywhere, because people are populating everywhere too. Like, a lot of this, bro, is it's a lot of chaos. And I know people like try to say, oh, this is organized this is organized that. But my question that I said again today is like, what's the point of the liberation? Y'all, I know what happened to the Black Power movement. Them same white hippies that was with the Black Panthers and all of that stuff, and they were talking all that shit that's about the color line. Them same white hippies got into the boardroom and just did exactly what the folks that they said was oppressing us. They got in those positions and did that. They created the 501c3 movement, and that killed the Black Power movement. And they did none of the things that they were saying as hippies, smoking weed, having sex with black men and black women, producing these biracial babies. They didn't do any of the things that they professed that they were going to do, because there's really no conversation about liberation when it comes down to it. It's just a word. And then you have black folks who are saying the same word. Oh, this is about liberation. This is about liberation. Well, define to us the goal of this liberation, because we don't need black people cosplaying white folks in the form of liberation. And good morning to Sister Rashi, by the way. She was sitting there for a minute.
I was trying to get it off mute. Good morning, fella. Sorry about that. I was trying to handle some grandmother business before I logged on. My granddaughter really don't care about you, him, the news, nothing. She just want her grandma. And so, when but you ever think about like right now I'm teaching weather and landforms and stuff. And one of the things I had to show children this week was the iceberg, the ice cap, the iceberg, right? Because that's all the water we got. Like all our real water is trapped in ice. But I digress. When you look at an iceberg, you do see that massive block of ice on top, right?
Right.
But you also have 3 times to 4 times that much ice up under it, buoyed inside of the water. Okay, so one of the issues I had to explain to children was there's what you see, which is a lot. So you form your opinion based on the a lot that you see. But in the reality of the matter, that is not all of it. And how this pertains to this actual subject is we see we saw Alex Peretti get popped, right? We saw Renee get popped. We are not privy to all of those people dying inside of the ICE concentration camp. The people in the camp are 4 5, maybe in the magnitude of 10 times more susceptible to death in the conditions that ICE people, you know, intend to inflict upon those people than the ones that are free, being captured on the street. Once they get captured, the possibility of them being restrained to death, detained to death, it goes up by magnitudes, more, magnitudes of 10. And so I guess I'm not saying don't be frustrated with what we see. Of course. Oh my God, they just shot a legitimate white man like he was. I mean, I ain't seen no shit like that.
What's an illegitimate white man? I'm trying to.
See now, okay, now I'm glad you asked. Illegitimate white man or any wigger.
Mm,
Wiggers are illegitimate.
mm.
Any white man who has done long-term relationships with another person of another ethnicity, unless it's Asians for some reason don't count. They still get to be
Hold on.
legitimate white men.
Hold on. Pause for a half a second, because this bleeds directly into what Elise said, and I told her I was going to get her comment in. So since you said that, Elise said people of Asian descent are also on their radar. I have several adopted Asian friends who have been detained, told their papers are fake, and then released after being held for hours. Trump is going after many naturalized citizens who were adopted and brought here as children. They are going after the populations that are most easily identified as non-white. When they have finished with that, women will be the next large group they focus on. So I
Well,
understand what.
actually, they didn't already focused on us. They took our ability to kill their babies,
Mm,
and they got rid of about at least 200,000 of them 300,000 jobs they took. They snatched them out of the hands of black women. So they already ready. It ain't
mm.
no next. They had a whoever that was wrote that, baby. You a day late, but you not a dollar short. They came for us already, and we out here arguing for the privilege of not using a hanger up in there. Okay, we arguing for
What
it.
a privilege. Jesus.
Okay,
I'm with you.
all right, but so yes, so it's ice on the street, right? We see
Hmm.
ice on the street. That's the tip of the iceberg, and I'm not trying to be facetious. Literally, that we can see, that we can observe the action and behavior of. What I want us to really be mindful of is all that covert, behavior that's happening in these, that exactly like that lady said, when they pull you into the camp and they pull you into the back room, them two agents do. Those are not naturalization officers, right? Those are some motherfucking weirdos, interrogating weirdos they didn't put on the team, because ICE is not just agents on the street. ICE is analytical agents to handle the paperwork, for all the filing they have to do, to document people who have been quote unquote undocumented. There's somebody's job to get them redocumented.
Mm-hmm.
There's ICE. Uh, Hell, there's the people in there making all them goddamn quesadillas. Cause all right, cause they got somebody got to go in there and cook up some
So you
some
think they feed?
rojos con pollos for these
So you
people.
think they feed the Latino population quesadillas and tacos while they incarcerated?
Well, you know what I'm saying. It might not. I'm being, I'm sick. I'm sickening, but you know what the hell I'm talking
That was
about.
funny, yo. That
Yeah.
was funny.
Somebody got to cook these damn people up some red rice and some chicken. Okay.
Some
Okay.
mitas.
So we are looking at, for those listening, you think you're looking at, be able to point at and be angry at a few men, masked and unmasked men, standing out in the cold, physically touching people, spraying them with mace and shit, pushing them back, blah, blah, blah. Yes, horrific, right? However, literally the icing on the immigration shit cake, okay? And so please be mindful of boycott. Intimidating an ICE agent is bullshit. Calling on your representative to reconfigure how we handle immigration within the confines of your state, that's real shit.
Okay.
Well, what about the congresswoman inside of New Jersey that nobody talks about?
Oh, the sister.
She's over $1 million into legal fees. She's facing 17 years in prison. You know, when they talk about George Soros and all of this liberal whatever, it's funny when black people go through it. These liberal supposed folks that got the money that's supposed to be backing this are never around to put money into your defense fund, help you get bailed out of jail, or to create propaganda to help you. And all she did was surrounded the mayor of New Jersey, of Trenton, New Jersey, Mayor Baraka, and told him not to lay hands. And they said that she assaulted an ICE agent. Her story, her name is gone to the footnotes of the bottom of the page. And speaking of children, because the 5-year-old who got shipped from Minnesota to Texas with his father, Jasmine Crockett wouldn't visit those kids this week. And those children are not going to school, by the way.
Oh, hell no. I wouldn't do it either in Texas.
No, that's not what I'm saying, brother. I'm talking about the kids who are in detention.
Oh, I'm
They're
sorry.
not educating those children.
Oh,
They got those children in cages. Those children are not going to school. And the suggestion was, we'll get them some workbooks. A 2-year-old was deported who was an American citizen with her father. These are things that are taking place.
But he already told us he was going to do that. He said, you can have as many of them as American babies if you want to. You're going to take your American baby right on the fuck home with you.
But he ain't sent his wife nowhere. What's up with that?
But Rashi, him telling people something and doing it is different. I think sometimes what we kind of forget is that the human expression in all of this, people who are not having relatives anymore. Go back and watch the video of Georgia Ford and them knocking at her door. See how many agents that they had at her house? She ain't built like that. It ain't like they were selling dope out their house. She don't have an interaction with police like that. Go look at Jamil Lundy and what he had to go through. Like, these are real things. And then take it into these people who are really just legal citizens. And I'll say it again, like I said last week, living in a city where the governor of Texas, the governor of Florida bust people in. We're not talking about that. Don't tell me have as many. And they did that under the direction of Trump, by the way. So what he said and what he's doing is two different things. And by the way, The footnote of it all. I've been watching the news since yesterday and to this morning. All of a sudden now, we don't care about the Epstein files no more.
The 2 million, 3 million pages, whatever.
I mean, like it just don't mean nothing no more. It don't mean nothing no more. It don't mean nothing no more. And when you watch it and you watch how we as Americans, it's like, man, this is all an invisible gate. If we decided tomorrow collectively at one time we wanted better, we could get that better. If we all decided at one time. The fact of the matter is we're easily distracted.
Yes.
And nobody's pissed off the same exact. You know why? Yeah, I figured it out, Lee.
Talk to me.
Because everybody's trying to figure out what they're going to get next. What am I going to make out of this? Because if you change things, what do I got to give up? Some people are holding on things they don't want to give up. And the fact of the matter is, we have to give up the idea that we got safe and secure elections. We got to give up the fact that, hey, maybe this democracy ain't what we think it is. We have to give up the fact that, hey, maybe these things that I thought I was fighting for is actually feeding into it. Yeah, I want control over me and my body and all of those things, right? But what if the fact is they want population control? So they're pushing things that make us not want to populate more. Do we got to live with that idea? Do we got to live with the idea that they don't want to see us married and happy and having children? And what does that mean? How about even our understanding of how the government works? Can we all say that if our civic duty is we're supposed to learn how the functioning of the government work, that we have not been studying? That we've all been lazy at the wheel, and that means that we got to spend extra time learning our constitutional rights, learning the constitution of the state, and what each elected official in our particular community has versus
supposed to do,
and versus binging that show on Netflix. Like, that's where I feel like a lot of Americans are holding on to. I need the convenience, because if I have to pull back this curtain collectively, we all get mad and pull back the curtain. Man, it's a lot of lifting that we all got to do together. And boy, we're going to be working some muscles we ain't used in quite some time.
Go ahead, Ronnie. You ain't got to type it. You can say it. Morning to you.
Yeah, go ahead, say it, brother.
Good morning, everybody. When you mentioned the thing about our history, I was just typing in that we have a local history teacher, a Marine, combat wounded, almost lost his arm from a sniper. Luckily, he was able to return fire. Took him over a year in Balboa to get the use of his arm back. This guy came up in the community and wound up going to community college, university, then went to Ivy League and University of Penn, got his graduate degree in a year. And then since he did that so quick, decided to get a second graduate degree, this time at Yale, a second Ivy League school. He got a lot of high-powered dollar offers, could have made a lot of money, been very powerful, but decided to come back to his same neighborhood, his hood, where he grew up from, to teach history and to share his life's experience of travel. And was teaching his children, according to the curriculum and the Nevada standards, history of the First Amendment, the right to protest, and teaching them basic government. The students were, that particular school here in Vegas was attacked by ICE and they snatched up students. So the students that didn't get snatched decided to protest. Well, there's a group called Moms for Liberty. It's a national organization funded by the Heritage Foundation and I believe Turning Points USA. This group is now attacking him for teaching what's in the educational standards and the curriculum, and are accusing him
and the Constitution
and they are attacking and accusing him of teaching the children to protest. So it just struck me I agree with what you're saying, but there's this juxtaposition of these people say that they're patriotic and say that they're, as you would say, this, that, and a third. But in reality, they aren't. And whatever they accuse us of, either they've done it, they're doing it, or they're about to do it. So, yes, we need to listen to what they say, but we need to watch what they do. And we need to use other states like yours, Brother Barry, unfortunately, as examples. And okay, this is what they're doing there. How are we going to prepare here for what they're doing there?
So I want to get a couple of comments in because I don't want us to go too far. Marlon said earlier, ICE agents don't even know how to properly deploy pepper spray and flashbangs. 47 days of no training. I agree with that. Precise says, I think they believed it. They know it exists. They don't want to see it, and they don't want it to happen to them. At the same time, with tens of thousands shutting the city down to protest, shows Black people exactly what they need to do when we have a problem with the government. um, Sister Rossi, Brother Joseph gave you your promises. She's right. They can do more than one thing at a time. Sister Elise popped back in. I believe part of this immigration snatch up, which Thomas highlighted, is to fix the farming worker crisis with H2 alpha visa farm worker shortage. With tighter
Not
immigration,
Yeah, not just that. Hold on, because whoever wrote that, it's not just the farming. That J1 visa is finna pop. I'm gonna tell you, we got at least 100 J1. That's what I call them. I'm not trying to be racist. J1 visas just in my district, and J1s, y'all, is what Elon Musk told us we was gonna have to do. There is not enough skilled work in America, so that they have to look abroad. Us looking abroad is bringing those people in, and then to bring them in and say, "Come work under the visa," but it's got to stay tight. You can't even turn a corner wrong.
Rashi, how many prisoners?
That's
How many American prisoners is it? Because I hate when
more every day.
so
that's what's going to the farms.
So I heard the governor of Louisiana said that he didn't want more early release because that was going to take away from the skilled workers that they have. We got to stop regurgitating everything that they say. Americans got as many skilled workers as possible. That's why that book, Back of the High Line, when they talked about how they push Black folks to the back of the high line, it's people that are sitting in prison that are doing labor work, they got the skill sets, etc. They don't want to hire those people because that would mean that you would put more wealth in the hands of Black folks. You know, the same Black men that everybody say can't do shit, yeah, they will get out here and get jobs and be able to be.
But so how are you explaining a union saying they don't have the labor?
Hold on, sister.
The unions are saying it.
Hold on, sister. The same unions that formulated to lock us out of jobs after 1930 when they first got here from Ellis Island. You talking about them white folks again? So we gonna keep reciting what they're telling us about us. We've already built this country. Ain't shit we can't do in this country. Now, how the hell are we alive? And this is what I always say. The revolution ain't gonna be happening by a bunch of Black weirdos, because the idea that we all say we're close to the understanding of who we were as a people, that's what people say. And then when these white folks tell us what we can't do, and then we're forgetting the fact we've already done it. They can't do it. They don't want to get out there. They don't want to do it. And they don't want us to get paid to do it because that will put us at the front of the line. That's the fear. And that's what we have to understand. The 500,000 jobs they wiped away from Black women, the nursing, the degrees and everything they took away, guess what? You still need plumbers. You still need carpenters. And AI can't do those jobs. AI cannot do those jobs. You can't wipe away those jobs. But there are Black men and women who are in prison, who they are saying who are uneducated, but they are highly skilled and highly trained because the prisons are using them for these corporations. So we can't say we don't have it here because they're constantly locking Black and brown bodies up to do those works behind the jail. And listen, you know, when somebody fresh out of jail, Lee, you say, what trade you got? Well, yeah, I'm a welder. you know a brother fresh out of prison because they teaching them how to weld in the prison. They're teaching them how to weld in the prison. And so I believe that these things are true. And I also, and at least it's right. It is about making indentured servants for white folks. They're trying to cut the labor market down. They don't want to pay. And this is about the greed of billionaires, the same billionaires who bought up all of the media companies, the same billionaires who are spreading this disinformation. If we keep quoting the disinformation, I'm working with AI. AI misspells shit way too much for me to believe that it's that intelligent. And it's way too hard here. It is way too hard here. I spent 12 hours in one day trying to get it to fix one thing. 12 hours in one day. And then I had to quit and wake up the next day. Then it decided to do it the right way. I'm just saying, if it was a human being, I could fire it. I could fire it. I could cuss it out or do something, kick it in the ass or something. You can't do that with AI. So don't be believing all of this stuff that they're saying to y'all. Sometimes you got to go out here and actually try it. And Sister Rasha, you a teacher. You are a teacher. You know how hard that skill set is of being an educator.
That's right. That's right. And that's what they told us, Brother Barry. They said this is so hard that we can't find too many that the white ladies who had dedicated themselves to the work, they tired of being called a stupid white fat bitch Karen. Never mind. Coo. So then so they got ready to fill her slot because there's a massive exodus of white women from education, right? When they looked in there trying to put somebody in her chair, there aren't enough black women to fill that chair. Nobody's coming. Black men. Black men don't want to sit in that chair.
No, sister.
Who want to sit there?
Hold on, Rashi.
People from other countries, they want their chance to teach American children.
Rashi, it is enough. Just remember, it's all about how they deselect people based off of their standards. There are standards that are there that disqualify certain folks. And they know that those standards are based off race criteria. So it's not that it's not enough qualified black women to teach or even black men to teach. We have everything that we need. It's about them chasing people off the job and disqualifying people. Same thing with policing. You know, I've heard locally, they said that they can't find enough black people policing. And then on the same radio show, they were saying that a brother called in and he named 5 people who applied to be police officers that were African-Americans inside of the state of Minnesota. They were all educated to the criteria that they wanted. But when it got down to the personality test, because those brothers did not fit the criterion of what white men would think is acceptable, those brothers were unable to get the job. So I do think that there's some things that they do behind the scenes that disqualify us, even when we're qualified, even when we apply. And I do think that we have to always ask ourselves, why are they always telling us that we can't do something or something ain't present without showing us the evidence? And I'm telling you, there's never been a job that I've been on because, listen, they didn't train me to be a teacher. I walked on a job and I got it done the first day. I'm just telling you. So you can't, it's either in you or it ain't in you whatsoever. And I think that at the end of the day, we have to start giving ourselves grace. And Brother Rodney know this. Brother Rodney, you know this from the South. You know that black folks are skilled at doing whatever the hell we want to do when we wake up and we decide we want to do it. The problem is that they can't figure us out. How can we beat them down so? How can we undereducate them so? But they're still running neck to neck with us. You could take a brother in the hood and he could be 10 times smarter than Elon Musk. Elon can't figure that shit out.
So one of the things I want you to make sure you're not doing, Brother Barry, is false equivalence. Yes, black people are amazing, but in our maximum population numbers, we cannot fill the void. It's not enough of us, even in the country. Even if all of us can read, and I'm promising you, all of us can't read, but even if we all could, it's still not enough of us.
Reading test.
Hey, because you don't understand how much social chaos and angst we go through, because the people who can't really think and use logic are following those who can, but are doing it for, malevolent reasons. And so the ignorant masses become the toys of the intelligent evil, the intelligent evil ones. It's a tale as old as time.
Well,
anyway, wait, I just want you to know that even if I agree with you that black people are awesome. In all our awesomeness, though, we can't get all those infrastructure. We cannot fill all those infrastructure places. We can't fix. There are at least 5 dying industries. Teaching is 1. Nursing 2. Infrastructure, right? 3. Don't even ask about Lee. Tell them about manufacturing and how bad, how hard it is to get people to come pull that machine press button over and over again. It's getting harder and harder. And who's waiting in line? Manuel out there waiting on it. And if you look sideways, he will do the work. If you help him get an immigration lawyer, he will give you some of his check to get himself in there right. He go and see the lady. He go see the lady, and he doing his best to get in, because that work is what make him walk across a desert.
Well,
it make them do all kind of, you know what I'm saying?
I work with Manuel at GAF, the shingle making company. I don't know if you guys are familiar with GAF. If you
Very familiar with
got
them.
some shingles done here in North Minneapolis, we work with Manuel, and it was a lot of brothers who were on the job, and Manuel and his folks was kin to the white folks who were the managers of the company. Manuel didn't want doing all the work. Brothers was in the sand pit digging that shit out to get them goddamn shelters, and brothers was having heart attacks in those sand pits and working hard. And they were letting the Latino cast sit in the break room while brothers was working their ass off. So we can do the work. And I'm gonna tell you, GAF is right there in the heart of the hood. It ain't a lot to do it. If they would hire at least 100 to 200 brothers from North Minneapolis right now, that'll change the trajectory of North Minneapolis, because those jobs. Hold on, sister, because you said what we can.
I'm not saying nothing.
Oh, the other side of it too is it's not about us being able to do it and fit all of the jobs. What I'm saying is those particular industries are not introduced to us in the way that we can. If an African-American woman wants to get into nursing, she becomes a CNA and they stick her in that spot and don't allow her to elevate to an LPN, to an RN. I know this because I was once married to a registered nurse, and she's told me the trajectory and how they keep people out. It's not that folks can't do it. It's actually able to be done. If we talk about teaching, I've done that as well. I've seen people get in classes, and I asked the guy over the brother that was running Harvest Prep, why don't you use your position to elevate black men who are sitting in the positions of teaching assistants and paraprofessionals? He was more interested in the cheap labor of the white girls that he was getting from a particular group. It's when we're in positions, we're not always elevating each other. And I always say that is that we have what we need. We just don't go about getting it. And we always complain about what they're doing, but we don't have that second plan of what are we going to do to offset that. So I say that in this environment, this is the best time for African Americans in every city to do a self-evaluation, find markets, corner those markets, do what other groups have done to us with markets, and not let them in. If there's a teacher shortage, go become teachers. If there's a nursing shortage, go become nurses. If there's a person to operate those machines, because Lee know that work is tedious. But you got brothers who will do that tedious work if they know that's going to change their outcomes, because brothers are tired of being homeless.
Well, I'm gonna let Rodney get in, so he ain't got to do all that typing. Then I'll jump back in. Rodney, what were you about to say?
Well, this conversation this portion of it is a little confusing to me, because one of the things that I know from living on a farm is most of the things that you do, you can learn it as you do it. And one of the things that I learned in the military was, you ever think about how sought after people in the military are by businesses once they get out, regardless of how long they spend in? And there used to be a rule of thumb that if you had a person in the military, almost regardless of rank, when they get out, if they become the lowest level in the warehouse, you give them about 3 years and they're in some type of leadership position in that warehouse, might even be managing it shortly. And I know the jobs. I became an engineer in the military with no formal engineering training. And I did that from on the job training. Now, there was some formal training here and there, but for the most part, we learned as we did. And some of those same jobs, I remember when I applied for work, it required this degree and that degree. I didn't need the college that I actually had in the military, because of the experience in doing those things in the military. And it shot me at the top of the list. And I always excelled above and beyond those people with degrees. So my point here is that one of the things that the farm and the military taught me is that degrees are not sort of an entry point. Degrees, in many instances, because I want my surgeon to be all educated up, have a bunch of letters behind the name.
Do you? Oh, do you?
But in general, most jobs do not require a formal education and academic education, and can be learned on the job. So degrees tend to be barriers to entry that were set up to keep us out, because we didn't have that formal education at the time. And I go back to this. I always think of the TV show The Real McCoys, as they took a saying from Black people, was about Elijah McCoy. And for those who may not know, and because I know a lot of you do know, they called it the real McCoy because they knew if they had something made by Elijah McCoy, it was the best
And it was going to last. Yep.
because it came from us. I remember when I was a young person in service, I knew I had work ethics. And I remember when I would get put up for those Airman of the Month and the this, that award, Airman of the Quarter, Airman of the Year. And one day I asked my commander, why do you keep putting me up for these awards? And he says, because I'm going to get promoted off of you from all that you do, because
True.
you exceed the standard every time. That's who we have been. That's who we are, even though sometimes now we act like we're less than, but they know that that's who we are. So this talk about, for me, this is kind of confusing because no, we don't need all of those things. Those things are just, even unions. Remember the AFL and the CIO, because they were two different organizations, their purpose was to keep us out because all of the jobs were owned by us because we did all the jobs as slaves. Those jobs came, those unions came about as a formal barrier to keep us out. So this is why I guess I'm a little confused, is
It's okay.
because we are the standard and we are the ones that have taught them almost everything that they know.
So going to where I was going to go, it is repetitive a lot of the times. Most of the learning is done on the job. Like I tell people all the time, I'm hiring right now actually, and I tell people, it's like, look, dog, the most important thing that I need from you is a commitment to be here and be on time, and that you have a good attitude. Because I can teach you anything. I can teach it to you. I can train you up. I can get you to be, as you said, Rodney, as you said, Thomas, at the top of the list in no time if you have a good attitude and you're willing to show up. So the thing that we're faced with mainly is attendance. Folk, especially young folk, and it's not exclusive to young folk. Old folk too, in their 30s and early 40s. I don't know what's going on with these cats, but they don't understand yeah, you're right. They don't understand the work pay dynamic. Dog, if you don't show up for work, your ass ain't getting paid. So between, to your point, Thomas, the weed, the video games, the drinking, the hoeing, whatever the hell you doing, it should not take precedence over you getting paid, because none of those things assist you in continuing getting a paycheck. Brother Joseph said earlier that if you have a job, you are indentured servant. Yes, sir. To a huge extent, you absolutely are. I say, and there's a quote from Big J. Everybody works for everybody, regardless of how big you are, how small you are. Even if you're an owner of a $1 billion company, you still work for somebody because people still have to buy your product. People,
Brother Lee,
huh?
have you seen the new Maymays out when people try to train millennials and the millennial is doing it the way they want to do it on the job, and then
Mm,
the boss come over to the millennial and they be like, "Now see, if you take the top off," the millennial get mad, honey, start taking off their apron, start taking off the call center, anything, and they have to say, "Okay, never mind, just just do it your way, just do it your way," so that it can get done. But
mm,
but but that's it exactly. When you go and you step next to uh Devontae, you say, "Devontae, right now you are logging in this way. You're using this thing, and we would like you, Devontae, to please log in like this."
mhm.
Oh, it's the same place. Okay. Never mind. I'll just keep waiting every Friday and relogging you in the system. I'm
No.
telling you, you're doing it wrong, and it's that resistance to new information, resistance to training for the benefit of somebody else. I mean, honestly, everybody born after 2000 want to know, why am I working for? Why ain't something working for me? They do not understand this nose to the grindstone mentality that all of us understand, because we still have mama. You know,
But
we still had a different reality for us for old time traditions. So I do believe one of the issues we're having, it is not right. It's not can we do it, Brother Barry? Because like you said, Lee, sit down here. Let me show you how to pull this lever, right?
mhm.
But Mr. Rodney, what I think it is it's been so many ways to get rich or get well to get comfortable to get comfortable in America. So why would I put myself through the ringer of educating and degreeing and all that when I can get a TikTok, I can get on the internet and just talk. I can design candles. I can make earrings. I can wait on my grandma to die. I can find an old railroad man and ride him into the ground.
Well,
Like it's I can
Well,
sell drugs. I can sell drugs. I can you
let,
understand
let,
the plethora of other choices than
let
to
me
join the workforce.
let me jump in for a second, and then I'll let you jump in, Tom. So when you say in the beginning that that person is doing something one way, but you need them to do something the other way, and that manager, supervisor, whatever, is waiting for them to get logged out or kicked out so they can log back in. I think that's a failure of leadership. And there's a difference between being a manager and a leader. I'm not going to hold your hand but for so long. I am very, very giving in allowing folks to have space to develop and to join the team. But eventually, you have to join the team. If you don't join the team, then we're going to constantly go off of the rails, and that ain't gonna happen because I'm not gonna lose my job because you're not doing your job. And my number one goal as your manager, as your no, that's not true, as your leader, is to make sure that you're doing your job. To Rodney's point, the more you do your job, the better it makes you look. The better you look, the better I look. We all move up in the food chain. That's how this thing works. So I'm not going to wait for you to take my train and crash it into the freaking ocean or tip it off the damn tracks as it's going over a river because I'm not strong enough in my conviction about what my role is in this organization to that I'm going to allow you to drive the bus. That ain't gonna happen. Drive the train. That ain't gonna happen. So that's number one. Number two, you're absolutely right, and I say this all the time. Sitting in meetings with HR and they're talking, well, people talking, complaining about not, people, these kids just don't want to work. We can't hire anybody. Blah, blah. No, that's not true. They do want to work, but they don't want to work like us. And I think we have not adapted to understanding that fast enough. They don't want to work 50, 40, 30 years, 20 something years for the same company and can only have 4 weeks of vacation. They do not want to work 20, 30, 10 years for the same company and ask why they want to take more than 2 weeks of vacation at a time and need your approval in order to have it. Even though you give them 4 weeks of vacation, they don't understand why they can't take their 4 weeks of vacation if they so choose all at one time. Why is that a problem? You know what I'm saying? And it should not be a problem. If I've earned 4 weeks of vacation, I should be able to utilize that vacation however I choose to utilize it. We need to adapt to that.
I will say this slowly. I've worked at a corporation that not only overpaid,
Yes.
overpaid vacation,
Yes.
over gave payment that you didn't even have to do tuition reimbursement. They paid for your school up front, and young people still was quitting that job.
Yep.
I think our problem, and maybe Rodney may be the only person to agree with me on this one here, is that we've given young people the leeway that we want them to lead the horse. And they can't. This idea that they know better when we know they don't know better.
They don't know shit.
And so it's not that people need to adjust to them. When you got into the workforce, you had to adjust to the workforce. We're asking people to stay immature, and then we're asking systems that's proven to work to change to the immaturity. And then we're justifying the immaturity because really they're just not being parented. Really, they're just not being held to a standard in school. So now what we're asking for people to do across the board, and you got to think corporations are looking at it from an aspect of, man, this is how I make my money. Do I want to fail? I can sell this off versus take a loss based off of this idea. And yeah, you're going to bring people from overseas to put this job in if we can't have the mentality that, hey, you need to show up on time. Now, I do want to close with this. A sister gave me this great piece of advice when I was the dean of students and kind of overseeing Sun Academy in North Minneapolis. She said, Thomas, if you allow a staff member to cover up for another staff member that's either showing up late or not doing their job, sooner or later, your expectation is that the person that is doing the extra work is supposed to continue to do that work. Meanwhile, the person that's slacking, they're not going to be held accountable for not showing up on time or not doing the work. You're going to blame the person that's doing all the helping. She said, you're better off focusing on that person that's slacking and either A, training them up or getting rid of them so you don't wear down the other person that is showing up and willing to do the work. I'm saying to us, we got to stop acting like we got a shortage of young people. Maybe that's just not the right young person at the job. Maybe that person needs to get fired 10 to 20 times before they understand, no, you show up to work not smelling like weed, you show up to work on time, you show up to work understanding this is the schedule, this is the skill set that you need to have, et cetera, et cetera. And you have to, because look, how many times did you get it right before you got a job in a that you settled in? So I think that we have to stop coddling our young people. And I feel like that's part of the reason. I don't think that people need to adapt. I just think that young people have to be more, it's almost like we want to adultify them without the responsibility.
There you
And
go.
they want that. They want that. Having a teenage daughter, oh, trust me, my teenager, if she can get away with everything she wants to do without having to pay for it, oh, Dad, you pay for it. Hey, Mom, you pay for it. That's good. One last piece too. I want to say this. The thing about the social media platforms and all those people that people are making money off of, I just want to say this real quick. Those stars are suffering from depression right now. And that's the other side of it. When we talked about that glacier early on, the things we see versus the things we don't see, yeah, they're selling on the fact that they are having money. But notice how those stars come and go quick. And when you see them again, they're typically on Skid Row. So are we trying to build sustainability with our children? Or are we trying to build things that's going to make them burn out fast? And I think that that's something as a collective, as Black folk, we're going to have to move away from this assimilation piece of making fast money because it has never worked out for our people.
Let's talk about children and transition to the Epstein files. So DOJ released more than 3 million pages, including more than 2,000 videos and 1,800 images of the files. And they said they have concluded that they've met their legal obligation and they will not be releasing anything else. Now, that just tells me there's more that they're not releasing. That just tells me that they cherry picked some things along the way, specifically around Trump and or others in the current regime. The Giants co-owner was implicated in his. Steve Tisch was he exchanged
You like
emails
those?
with exchanged emails with Jeffrey Epstein talking about he wanted to link up with some galleys. So I don't know who else is going to be called out directly.
Jay-Z. Don't forget about your boy Jay-Z.
Now, I didn't see anything about him being released as of yet, but we will see.
Jay-Z and Pusha T.
Okay. I'll keep looking and see if that is that why he got his ass whooped in the elevator? Anyhow, this is obviously an ongoing story. This is maybe one of the reasons that the raid in Fulton County, we'll get to that after we talk about Epstein, happened. This is maybe why Don Lemon was arrested on Friday and then subsequently released on Friday as well. Remember, as Thomas said earlier, there were 2 attempts of making requests for an arrest warrant that were denied. They actually, as Thomas indicated, flew prosecutors all over the country. They finally went to a grand jury. More than likely, they lied to the damn grand jury, but we'll find out about that as well. But they finally got a grand jury to agree and issue the arrest warrant for Don Lemon and Sister Georgia Ford. So we will take some more time to go through this again. 3 million pages, man. There's a lot of information in those pages, and please note that the other distracting things that have gone on this week have taken away from people really being able to dig into those pages and come up with that. Again, the minority owner in the Giants popped up. That name popped up big time. So there, I'm sure in the next coming days and weeks there'll be others who pop up on folks' radar. I will look for Jay-Z and Pusha T because Thomas Berry just said they were in there somewhere. So I'll dig a little deeper and see if I can see something with
I mean,
that.
they are everybody in there. He got to everybody. Like why we at? He was a why. He's a Weinstein. It was a club. It's still there. Them people
Mhm.
still there. They kicked a couple of them. Done died. They kicked out a few. But that network, that's something that's tied to our economy, which is so sickening to me. Pedophilia, literally, how those dudes operate, how they network together, and their cabal of sexual behavior.
Mhm.
That network drives our damn economy to some extent because they talk to each other about upcoming land affirmations and things that they're going to take advantage of out there. And then you got what? Hey, I got this new steel contract coming up, and would you like to erect a boom? Next thing you know, we got a
He
multiplex.
said a wreck in the Epstein files.
Okay, and so now pedophiles now are not only just keeping each other entertained, in a very very unhealthy way. They keep each other rich. They keep each other's secrets. They keep each other's. They give each other. They make their network stronger by saying, "Hey, you know what? I got a dude for that. This is the term. Hey, I have a man for that." I got a man for that, and that man becomes the asset to the other man. You think it's just TV, but it's actually real. And so I don't look forward to the release or anybody looking at it because yeah, you can expose it, but then now dismantle it. How? We taking down the executive chief of blah 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 of Morgan Chase.
Yeah.
We're gonna unhouse
Yes.
possibly two
Yes.
Supreme Court
Yes. Yes.
justices. We're
Yes.
gonna we're gonna wipe. Uh,
Rashi.
we're
Rashi.
gonna get at least two or three of them ex-presidents and all the vice presidents.
Okay.
George Bush Jr. going,
Okay.
and so is who. Well, poor Cheney. Like I said, some of them died, so we don't have to do nothing with Cheney. He got himself. So what I'm saying is, we talking about unhousing directors of Halliburton and blah blah blah. We talking about okay. So now we have to form a legal commission. This is
Okay.
not about releasing files. Then will you admit that? I mean, files, yes, that
No,
we
no,
can
no,
look
no,
at.
no,
Ooh
no,
ooh
no.
ah, like a Christmas
No,
tree.
it is
But
about releasing files, Rashi. You gotta here's the thing, Rashi. And we talked about R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, all these cats on the show, and we were cool with the Lifetime stories. We were cool with everything coming out. We talked about our uncles and brothers and all of that took place, and it's a way we got to stop them. But then when we get to these wealthy white men, and then it's the pause, right? The fact of the matter is, this story is not just about the molestation piece. It's not even just about the banks. This is about espionage being ran on American soil by foreign governments. That's exactly what this is about. This is
so
about
that take a commission,
no, no,
Barry. That don't take
no,
a release from documents like
no, 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 no.
archives.
No, you have to release it in this environment because if this a president is associated with it and anyone else, this is grounds to remove this president. And you have to make it into an American public piece because people didn't believe in Project 2025. If they did, Kamala Harris would be president. If
So
you go
then,
about Project 2025 and all this thing about who's a good candidate, bad candidate, you can't tell me you really believe Project 2025 was something real, and you went and you thought about Trump or you thought about Jill Stein, who's been MIA in all of this conversation. So you have to release this information. And I'll say it again: if we can embarrass Bill Cosby, if we can embarrass R. Kelly, if we can embarrass Puff Daddy for all of this shit, and Puffy with consensual adults, we can definitely talk about these white men raping young girls on islands for national secrets. for advancement of economics. These people are on contracts, and I'll just bring it to what we got going on here in Minnesota right now. It's a suit being formulated for these doctors who have been falsifying family, lying on families, saying they're abusing their children. Well, most of those doctors, guess what? They got contracts with the state. They go give expert testimony at the state. Well, if you are responsible for damaging families and taxpayers are paying for you, we should know. If taxpayers are giving contracts to Halliburton, if taxpayers are giving money to Chase Bank execs and they are pedophiles and they're running pedophile rings, then the people should know, and we should know the politicians who are associated with those pedophiles, so we don't vote those people back in. And part of this is that we got to stop keeping the secrets of rich white men. Rich white men must be brought to be held accountable, just like we do our brothers and sisters that we can justify when it's Tyrone.
Yeah. No, yes, that's what I'm talking, Brother Barry. Accountability. This is not us looking. It's not the court of public opinion. There has to be a full commission.
But was that
like
for
damn near like the McCarthy files, or I don't know, like some weird shit like that.
But did Richard Nixon have a commission when he got removed for Watergate? Because I think sometimes we overthink things instead of just making it simple and plain. So we all know the information. We all know
the network is bigger than that, Brother Barry. The actual the extension of what needs to happen is bigger than a Nixon or a Watergate. We talking bigger. We talking international. This is a place where perverts can come and get them a little child too, not just Singapore.
But why can't we just start somewhere though? We got to start somewhere.
With a judge and a commission and a team of people looking at files.
Hold on. So I'm going to trust a judge. Hear what you're saying. I just want you to hear what you're saying. You want a cabal of people that's already hidden to be selected by another group of people that you may not know are associated with these people that could also be a part of this.
It is a touchy. It's touchy. It would be hard.
It's not touchy. It is not touchy. If the names are out there, if we can find out the names of the people who are out there, then we can find everything else. And Marlon, you're right. We need to freeze assets. We need to seize companies. We need to do everything that we would do to Joe Blow, the drug dealer in our community. If we don't treat these folks the same, if we find out that Israel is behind this and they're running espionage campaigns on American soil.
Yes, exactly.
Or the Russians are doing that, then the American people should know that the Russians got this tape of Donald Trump getting pissed on, and that's what they got over. We should know that happened on Epstein Island, and Epstein knew that too. Why are Americans always so scared of the truth when it comes to our government? I'm just saying, y'all, this is bigger than just the girls. And I think we all can see it. I think the biggest fear, however, is that when the cards come tumbling, when they start come tumbling down, some folks have to realize, some people that you really thought that was real tight, they wasn't right at all in it. They like the little chicks, or they like the little boys. I'm waiting to hear the little boy stories too, because you know that's somewhere in there. We're talking about these white women right now, but it's some molestation that's going on in this situation as well with young boys too. So I'm waiting to hear the whole story, and I hope this shit. I hope that they find $5 more million documents and let it all come out.
So, Marlon, we agree. We said last week, and I think the week before, this is a RICO case, without a doubt. This is absolute collusion. It is a organization. It meets every tenet and tier of a RICO. And unfortunately, the Roberts Court has given Trump cover, and I said this to someone else, where he did not deserve it. He does not deserve it, but that's what we're going through. Speaking to Thomas's point and blending the two things together a tad bit, with the Don Lemon situation, we're talking about judges that sit on courts appointed by, a lot of them were appointed by the first Trump administration. Remember, Mitch McConnell's reasoning and rationale was to push through as many judges as they could. He knew this was coming. That was the setup for all this crap. This was to give them some sort of relevance and power for years beyond his life and service, and or years beyond Trump's life and or service. So this is what we have to deal with. And to Brother Barry's point, you just don't know who is a part of this network unless it is.
Yes, that is the hard part, Lee. That is, and I admit it. And I don't know how we would what the fish from the military to see, because I don't know how we would do this, but it's gonna if we want it to stick, if we
No,
want to show
the
people,
military's been
listen,
compromised too.
if we want, I know, dang, if we want to show people that you cannot come to America and profit from the destruction of our children, it's going to take more than the releasing of documents. It's going to take a commission. That's the only word I know. I don't know what any other way to consider it, but it has to, and then that is going to come up with some kind of eh, I think we already have one. I'm sure we got some kind of law where you can't rape and molest children, or else we wouldn't be talking about this.
I mean, we got the laws, but ask yourself, Rashi, what they do in the UK? They didn't wait for no commission. What they do to Prince Andrew? Stripped his ass of everything and put his ass on the street.
Yeah.
Him and his wife. They didn't have to wait. This ain't Law and Order. We don't need to hear the thing.
Special Victims Unit.
Yeah, you want to go? What you all want to hear? Go.
We don't need to hear the theme music. All we need to know is who did it, when they did it. And by the way, why are we acting like the victims ain't standing there and can talk?
Telling you, right?
That's the other side of it. These people can tell you who it was. All you got to do is put them in the back room and let them point the people out.
Man, they've been paid well to shut the hell up. They pay well for you to shut the hell up. Them secrets are actually so wealthy. You could live for a lifetime just not telling who had did what.
Well, I don't know about that, because I think a lot of the survivors are willing to speak up because they want. Maybe they're looking for a check. Okay, I can see that, but I think a lot of them really want for people to know that they weren't lying. Like
I don't think it's a monster. I think it's safety. I think they're worried about, if I say this and this president has control of the Congress, the Supreme Court, etc., the FBI, and he could put his minions on me and I end up dying on my family.
That's right, because he got a man for that. Hey, they got a man for that.
So that's a problem. And I saw that a report that birthday book, they said that was Ghislaine Maxwell's way of talking to Trump, saying, "Oh, I know more." Like that's not an accidental book. And they're saying that she's also giving more testimony this week to say, hey, it wasn't just me and Jeffrey who got charged. It was 25 other people.
Yeah, I saw that.
Other people made payoffs inside of Florida. Who was the prosecutor over that in Florida? Pam Bondi. So
come on.
This is there. She's alive. What I'm saying to everybody, it's bigger than just the molestation. This is bigger. This is a national security issue. We got national security breaches. We are using. Look, man, this could bring cryptocurrency down if we're being real.
Yeah.
Come on. Say it again, brother. Say it again.
This could bring cryptocurrency down. She said, I don't know why. Listen, man. Y'all, you may not know. I understand. I know her name. I went to school with her, but I know about the boy stories. I bet you can connect what was going on with Epstein to Sandusky. If you really want to know about the boy stories, do you not know why that prosecutor in Pennsylvania disappeared when he went for a jog? The first prosecutor at Sandusky. Do you not understand that all the judges that were connected to it inside of Pennsylvania, those same judges that were locking young boys and girls up that were being molested inside of the kiddie prisons inside of Pennsylvania? This has legs across the country. So I understand that piece. But what I'm saying to you, in these Epstein files that have not come out fully, and we need the entire story to come out. If the story does not come out and we allow these people, and I'll say it again, it's amazing to me when it was R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Puff Daddy, we have Lifetime stories. We had all this stuff that was going on to want to tell us ahead of everything. In this particular situation, we're not hearing enough about what's happening. And I don't need to hear from the victims. There's enough information that's already out there. If people wanted to find out, they would find out. If they got 25 defendants who had an early payoff inside of Florida, then that's somewhere on the records. People just got to want to find it. And that's on the media. The media has to do their job. Salute to Georgia Fort and Don Lemon. The media has to start investigating. You have to kick indoors. You have to get your what they call your gumshoe. You got to get your gumshoe on. You got to get out there and really ask more questions. That doesn't always have to come from Congress. That's what the media is supposed to do. Tell the news. Tell us something we don't know.
Well, they just killed somebody for that, so you got to be careful.
I mean,
That's all he had his phone up. He was going in to get some information, get some intel. He was behaving in the dude they just shot, the ICE just shot.
He was a nurse. He wasn't no media person.
This is what he was doing. He had his phone out. He had his camera out. He was advancing on a scene. He was recording. They don't know. They don't know.
No,
They don't know.
that's not true.
It's dangerous out there. You don't think? It's very dangerous out there gathering that intel.
Hold on, Rashi. You talking about the guy in Minnesota? The nurse dude?
It's not just what he did for a living. It's the behavior he was exhibiting. Yeah, I'm talking about Perez.
Okay, but he wasn't doing that. All he was doing was trying to protect somebody, a female, and he got between the ICE agent and her. Be it he was trying to record or not, it don't matter. Again, he was not there. From all the reporting that the way I understand it, he was not there trying to be a reporter. He was not there trying to log some information. He was simply there. He may have been participating in the civil, not unrest because it wasn't unrest, the civil protest. Thank you, but he was trying to protect the young lady that was also there, whom was being confronted by the ICE agents. He got in their way, I guess. That's the way they took it, and because of that, he lost his life. His life was taken.
That's what I'm saying. They're not asking. They're looking at certain behavior. If you're in a certain place and you're trying to record and do all that journalist, you have to be more covert, because they're not asking, hey, can you back up? They're just going to tear gas you to death and hope that, and if you don't, it just becomes the escalations are to where regular journalism, like, hey, excuse me, Mr. Ice, it's just not feasible. You have to be more. I don't know, Mr. Rodney. Maybe Mr. Rodney can explain that.
That's a lot different than putting your gumshoe on. If you got your gumshoe on, typically you incognito. You're going in, you're checking out files, and you're doing things, tying things together that other people aren't seeing. You're not necessarily going up against ICE agents or FBI agents in the midst of a civil unrest or what have you. What I'm saying is, and Rodney, you're right, they do own the media. That's one of the biggest things on why they went after Dar Lemon and Georgia Fort, because they are independent media sources that can detail and say things different. That's very true. The other side of this, though, is that there still should be a level, and I love yesterday the call by the black folks in the media here saying that, hey, keep in mind, these are members of the media who have been in prison. These are members of the media that have been shot by rubber bullets, and white folks, y'all can be next too. And I think that that's something to be said. So the media has a responsibility, and sometimes for your career, sometimes for your calling, you have to put things on the line. There's war correspondents that go into the middle wars where they know they're dropping bombs, and they'll still go out there and report the news. There's people that go out and report on hurricanes, and they know that, like this is Mach 5, and they're still out there holding on to a string trying to get that story out. So we can't give people convenient excuses to sit down because we may have fear. These folks have signed up for it. And when you signed up for it, you knew the job was dangerous when you took it. And so that's just what it is.
So we have 15 minutes left in the show. I want to get a couple more things in before we wrap it up, because I got to get out of this damn hotel room on time. Don't be going over. Anyhow, Russia has sustained 1.2 million casualties in the Ukrainian war since it started in 2022. First and foremost, in February 2022. Let's be clear. Rodney and I had this thing ended in 3 weeks. Let's be honest. So the fact that it's lasted this long is nothing short of a miracle. But that's the most casualties in a war of any superpower, any major country since World War II. This is a problem for Russia. This is why they're talking peace now. This is why they want a de-escalation. This is why they are reaching into the bowels of prisons and getting conscripts and anybody else that wants to come to fight on their side to fight this war. I applaud the Ukrainians again for something that I thought was going to end in 3 weeks. Rodney, you got type. I'm gonna let you get it as soon as I land. Something I thought was going to end in 3 weeks has lasted 4 years. I did not think that was going to happen at all. But we found that Russia is so much more of a paper tiger than we once thought it was.
Mhm.
And that in and of itself is mind blowing.
Ooh.
But hey, man, Rodney, what do you think? How long do you think this thing is going to continue? What do you foresee the near future being?
Um, America attacking Europe because
Oh,
America is a vassal state of the Soviet Union. And contrary to what the public knew, the military always knew that Russia was a paper tiger. All you had to do was come to the Nellis Air Force Base Petting Museum, and you can see just how much a paper tiger Russia was. Once I discovered that early in my military career, I was no longer afraid of Russia as being a superpower minus its nukes that could have any impact on our military. So the governments knew that it was a paper tiger. Europe knew that it was a paper tiger. Ukraine made a deal with Russia and the United States that if they gave up their nukes, which is where the vast number of the Soviet Union's nuclear weapons were, that when it broke up, that Ukraine kept them. And Ukraine says, when pressured by America and now Russia, hey, we will protect you. Well, America did it until they stopped, but Russia is the one who attacked them. So Ukraine has always been the center of power in the Soviet Union.
mm,
And it is also a very powerful economic source for all of Europe. So Europe wasn't going to let Ukraine fall. I mean, look at some former neutral countries are no longer neutral because they understood the value
say that
of
again.
Ukraine and the role that it played. So Russia is, you know, when you start reaching for old people like me, you know you're in bad shape. And that's why Russia is even bringing in North Koreans. And who knows who else, probably bringing people in from Africa too who don't know any better.
Absolutely.
So Russia is on its economy. It's only being kept held up because of the oligarchs, but its economy is very frail. So had Biden still been president or Kamala, Russia probably would have fallen by now. So yes, I was wrong. I will admit. I thought they were going to fall because I didn't think America was going to support them. And at first, I didn't think Europe was going to support them as they did. But they have turned out to be the modern day America from World War II.
Mm,
Ukraine is the muscle, though. Ukraine is the muscle. And Russia may have had nuclear weapons. It may have had some economic advantages. But of the Soviet Union, the Ukrainians, they're built, they're Tonka tough, man. They whooping feet.
yeah, we got kids out here. What the hell's a Tonka? But keep going.
For real. But they're whooping feet. And if you gotta, they are resilient people. I got a chance. I was telling Lee this last week to go to a event in Chicago that was a Ukrainian event. I thought it was kind of odd that the Heritage Foundation was one of their sponsors, but it was an event that was actually thanking all of the Democratic elected officials inside of Illinois for helping the Ukrainians during this war. But their people were very resilient, and they were talking about they know that they're tougher than the Russians, and they know that they can withstand this war. They just want the United States to not support the Russians. So I think, Rodney, if the U.S. don't get involved, you're right. The Russians' ass was glass, man. They can't mess with them boys, man. They ain't built for it. They're used to the Ukrainians actually doing the heavy lifting when they were all collected together, and we're really finding out who the true muscle of that collective was. It was not in Russia. It was actually in Ukraine.
And I wonder why they fight. To me, you know how Europe is. Why would you not? It's so cold. Why wouldn't you band up, man? could get together in this thing. Don't I'll be the muscle. Hell, you got the gold, you got the oil. Let's band down. But I had to realize we're talking about different. If you're looking at it as an outsider, you think you like, why them white dudes fighting? But what's real is
Why
that
don't Russians fight one another?
hey, why them two white cousins over there fighting? But in reality, we're talking about two very different cultures. You're right, Brother Barry. And I won't say tougher or not tougher, but definitely from language to, it's a lot different from them. And so and one of the reasons why there is a Ukraine at all is because back in the day, they was on some bullshit in Russia. And it just happens to be smarter to go south, and weather related, just where south you are, the warmer you can get, at some times of the year. And it's just easier on the soul. But I just want y'all to know that white on white crime, it is horrible. Boy, that white on white crime
They
is
should be
vicious out there.
ashamed of
They should be
themselves.
ashamed. And somebody gonna have to do a commission like President Trump
What is
did with
up
the
with you and
middle.
these commissions? Everything don't need no
Cause
commission.
see, you about to see one work. It's gonna solve bring finally peace to the Middle East.
No,
President Trump created a commission to bring peace to the Middle East. Y'all know what I'm talking about, don't you? Thomas, you know what I'm talking about?
his peace. You talking about where he's gonna be in charge till he die? That peace commission. I mean, I mean,
He said he brought it over there, and all they have to do is sit down to the table and talk, and that's the work of the commission to get the Palestinians and the Israelis, and it's somebody else, and then they gonna sit down and they gonna solve all the crime in the Middle East. So let's just hope that if that commission worked, then we can follow the pedophiles with our next commission, and then hell, we might even pick back up on the war on drugs.
So we need a commission for the war on drugs. Dude, look, I ain't fooling with you.
Now put
Look,
that shit down.
all right, so we pretty much covered everything that I really wanted to touch on this week. Again, there's snow coming in parts of the country that rarely get snow. So hopefully everyone in those parts of the country are hunkered down and prepared for what's to come. If not, get to some place where you can be safe and secure. And please, folks, check on your family members, make sure everyone's okay once this thing passes through. This is definitely odd for the southeast quadrant of our nation, but as I said earlier, these things are happening more and more. So hopefully they will start to understand they need to be prepared for these events.
Open them cabinets up. Don't let them pipes burst.
Mm.
Go to the store and get that food. Don't wait, sit up in there trying to eat beans with no seasoning.
Nah, don't.
And get the toilet paper. I know that you thinking you do not want to be improvising. No toilet paper.
See, this is the shit that I'm talking about. No, you don't need no damn toilet tissue when it's going to be 60 degrees on Tuesday in Atlanta. Stop with all the bum rushing of the milk, the eggs, the bread, and the toilet tissue. It's going to be 60 freaking degrees on Tuesday. Ride it out, player. Is this all of 24 hours? You will not die because some damn snow is coming. Seriously. Y'all, that shit irks the hell out of me, dog. People act like it's the end of the damn earth because a quarter of an inch, I'm sorry, of snow is coming out the damn sky. It's the winter time. That's normal for most people in the world. Get over yourselves. You're not gonna die. It's a little bit of freaking snow. You know what I'm saying? I understand that's not what you're used to. I understand that's not what you're accustomed to. But again, these things are happening more often than not. So you need to start getting familiar and getting prepared. You do not need 20 damn rolls of toilet tissue to make it for 24 damn hours. It's not that damn serious. Let's be clear. You know what I'm saying? Last thing I wanted to say, two things, and they're both in the same vein. Monday is when pitchers and catchers report for the beginning of spring training. Let's be clear about that. It's baseball season all over again. And be it you like him or not, Belichick deserved to be in the Hall of Fame as a first ballot selectee. The man was a genius. Again, you can disagree with his tactics, but he did it at a level that no one's ever done it or even gotten close to. And he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame as a first ballot inductee. He will make it next year. This is, people pissing on one another, having a dick sizing contest, whatever the hell you want to call it. But it was a disservice to not allow that man in as a first ballot nominee. I don't like him. I didn't like him. I'm a Ravens fan. They were always a pain in our ass. Let me be clear. But for what he did in that sport, fucking phenomenal. And he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame as a first time ballot nominee without a doubt. Rashi, what you got? I know you need to get to the baby.
I think they do put him in there and put an asterisk by his name. Anyway, he asterisk ass nigga. So, cause he was on that foolishness. You know what I'm saying? He was on that foolio. So you don't have to lie to kick it, Lee. You don't have to lie to kick it. Anyway, I want everybody to, like I said, be safe out here. Be safe, because America is finally getting, like you said, the cool season, and love on each other. And thank you, brothers, for having a fantastic day. I'm going to go back and watch the beginning. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the show for the beginning. So for those of you who take on information fairly slow, go back and watch it again on YouTube. Go watch it on YouTube. You know what I'm saying?
Right, I gotta go. Thank you. Go ahead, Thomas, what you got? Make it quick.
Well, God is funny. Y'all import y'all immigrants to the north. We export our snow to you. So good luck.
I love it.
With that being said, tomorrow the Watch app will be launching on the Apple side of things. And we're going to do another follow-up launch on next week for Android, because that green screen just drives me freaking crazy. But by the way, it'll be ready for Android. We're looking forward to it. And we're going to do a launch party inside of the Twin Cities on February 20th to make it official. So come on out and be down with the Watch. So more details to come as I am exiting Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Cool. Gotcha. Roddy, what you got?
Tomorrow is Freedom Day in recognition of the signing of the 13th Amendment, which was for giving us citizenship rights and freedom. Giving us freedom in this country from slavery. So tomorrow, February 1st, is signed by President Truman in 1948. Recognize the day.
Awesome. Everybody, as we always say about this time, thank you all for watching live, watching later. You all be good. You all be safe. If no one's told you, we love you, and the damn thing you can do about it. Until next week, family. Peace.
And Jack Frost.